pissing, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like pissing, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your chain for the championship. Fucking on Tampa, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, running like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the sports coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
All right, shout out to the mighty Who Dat Nation. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. Shout out to y'all being in the building on this one, man. Shout out to the Who Dat Nation, man. We up in this one. And listen, fam, first and foremost, thank y'all for being on the live. I wanted to be able to kind of let you guys know about a new sponsor of the platform. You see it on the screen, Optory. They joined the family of sponsorship for the PRO Media Network. Optory, we know about Mint Mobile. We know about T.H. Henley. The links are in the description section below for you guys. But Optory is a service that is going to be very big. I wanted to let you guys know about that before we get into broadcast, and thank them for the sponsorship. And listen, this goes about breaking the data brokers. Like if you guys go online, you put your Google, your name, all your information, your address, all that stuff pops up. Man, listen, man, all I can tell you, fam, at the end of the day is, it's a lot of your information out there that you don't want out there. In dealing with today's age, with all this stuff going on with data breaching and all this kind of stuff, Optory is a tool that can remove a lot of that information off the web. They're very cost effective, removing the home address from Google, preventing identity theft and fraud, reducing the phishing, spam calls, and the emails that you get, and just basically strengthening your digital privacy protections. Check out Optory. The link is in the description section below. I always look for sponsors, and I've been blessed. Most High send good people to us that can be an asset to the community. So I wanted to share that, guys, with you on that, man, on this one, man. Y'all probably what the hell is Optory? That's what Optory is, man. So the link is in the description section for your liking. All right. So anyway, with that out of the way, I'd like to shout out to all of the family members. Appreciate y'all for being in the live. Mad drummers in this thing. Good to see you, brother Reginald, brother Gundam. Much love to all of y'all out there. OG Jerry, Pelicans Nola's in this thing. Brother Wallace, I see you, fam. Jaden, big ups to you. Much love to all you guys out there. Appreciate you for being in this live. All right, what's up, Sonia? Shout out to Sonia. Appreciate Sonia for also being in the live as well. And big ups to you guys. Now, and on this episode of the Coma Monday edition, shout out to the fam. Hope you guys are starting your Monday off the right way, productively. Of course, man, we're going to just talk about some Saints on this Monday, man, kind of get back into our regular flow of things, if you know. And I think the biggest talking point for the Who Dat Nation right now is Tyler Shough. Right now, he's the only one not signed to his agreement. This is nothing new. We've went through a couple of our former second-round draft picks from years past who are basically hadn't come under contract. He's basically trying to wait it out and negotiate to get extra guaranteed money. That's what Tyler's doing. That's a smart thing going forward. But there's some hesitation or people thinking that that situation might not get cleared up before we jump into camp. So, we'll see how it all works. But me personally, I think I'm going to kind of be on the positive side. I think over the last several times, and maybe this could be, from a historic standpoint, we've seen this happen before, right, fam? We've seen guys get right up to the line like a couple days before, and then all of a sudden, they get done. Perhaps the Saints recognize this I guess this strategy. Be like, oh man, we've been through this before. We can kind of wait this period out. Perhaps this kind of been something the Saints kind of got a little lazy on, and perhaps Tyler might have to push the envelope because of the previous situations when this occurs. You want to hope that he gets there on time because, listen, my estimation is I see Spencer Rattler just slightly ahead of him. And you don't want, and I know you want to get your money right first. So I know he wants to get that done first, but you also do not want to put yourself at a disadvantage in terms of reps when you're in a competition for a starting NFL job, right? You don't want to do that. So it's kind of he's in a kind of a pinch motion trying to get the money versus trying to make sure he's there on time to make sure he gets advantage of all of those reps being he's coming in as a rookie. So we'll see. What's up, Jay Huntsberry? Shout out to you, fam. Appreciate you, Trey. What's up, brother Trey? How you doing, sir? Much love. I appreciate y'all. Y'all hit the like button for me and the share button as well, fam. And we're gonna go and do that. What's up, Heem? Says Saints make the Super Bowl in Atlanta. Okay, yes. You know what? That would be fantastic, bro. If the Saints can, get to the Super Bowl in Atlanta when they held it at, we win the Super Bowl in the city. Could you imagine? Could you imagine that? Like they had an opportunity to do that. What was it? The other year? Last year wasn't down here last year? I forget. So when it ain't if we ain't in it, I don't give a damn. But they had an opportunity, they failed. So if we can get right and get there, man, and win a Super Bowl in the city of Atlanta, could you imagine how great that would be, man? On top of all the other stuff that we do to them, right? That would be hysterical. That'd be awesome. All right, so anyway, fam, y'all hit the like button for me. Let's jump into these articles. I got several news items I want to cover with you guys in this. Yeah, Big Low would lose his mind, and I would be there with a camera to capture it live. Why? All right, Saints Tyler Shough facing lose situation, according to Sports Illustrated. Let's jump right into it. Shout out to Kyle T. Mosley and his team about the Saints with the holdout. What is going on, says the writer. Shough is in danger of missing the start of camp due to a new trend that has second rounders holding out to negotiate guaranteed money. The top two selections in the second round secured fully guaranteed deals, establishing a benchmark that other second rounders like Shough are reluctant to undercut. Now, his situation is distinct, though. That's because he's in the middle of a serious QB competition with Spencer. So if it's a long holdout, that could hurt a bit. But there is some people thinking that this could be something going on that could be that could run a risk of happening. And shout out to fan sides, Darian Gray. So this is risk that Shough may not want to take. It doesn't mean he'll sign a contract before training camp, but the odds of a holdout are lower for Shough than other second rounders. While a receiver can hold out and find his way back into the rotation, it's just one quarterback who can start. That condition will weigh on Tyler Shough's mind with considering the decision, and it's not something his peers have to ponder. This is indeed true. I mean, like I said, it's a tough decision nonetheless. With Carr's retirement, though, Carr gets out the way. Shough has an opportunity to walk in to a starting NFL job with the Saints, a patient head coach that's willing to work with him, a very talented team. And we've said this before about the New Orleans Saints and the fact that this team is not a bad team. Let's not get it misconstrued. We've talked about that all the time, haven't we, family? What's up, Black Major? We talked about that all the time when we made mention of the fact that this team lacked leadership. It lacked a guy that would bring accountability consistently, a guy that knew what he was doing. No, we had this other buffoon running around here tearing up and sabotaging himself. Then when he gets fired, I didn't fail. They just didn't want me anymore. That kind of logic is what really wrecked what we had. And I had to pause for a second to do that. What's up, Jones Jr.? Shout out to you, brother. I had to literally pause for a second, fam, to kind of wrap my mind around the stupidity of that quote that he had. I was like, wow, that was incredibly dumb. Out of all the stupid things that we known him to say, that was probably number one. Y'all put in top 3 dumb things that the possum said in his tenure here. I'm pretty sure that's probably number one. Besides, we're gonna keep doing what we're doing when the Saints was getting mollywopped in that Arizona game, and they stopped him right before halftime, right going into halftime, and he said, what you gonna do? We're gonna keep doing the same thing. Remember that? Y'all, that's number one. But outside of that, wow. But yeah, this is the reason. This is what I'm saying. What's up, Bev? Shout out to Beverly. That's what I was saying, fam, pretty much about the leadership situation, right? We was a team with leadership. And I was disappointed last year in the fact that we had leaders on the team and they were just brainwashed by the losing stuff that was going on. Like we had leaders like, all these other guys. You know who our leaders are, our team captains. And instead of like, tearing the walls down and be like, just, going at as a unified front, this type of stuff, they just kind of placated and just went to sleep and started singing us old spirituals from back in the day. It's to start trying to have Bible class with us and all. We don't, hey man, you ain't qualified there. No. We don't want to hear all of that. Why aren't you not doing your job? We don't want to hear all this stuff. And you see what I'm saying? But that's what bad leadership take you. So I would give Kellen Moore a hell of a lot more credit than that other buffoon we have, simply because he's a guy that knows what he's doing. I think he has more more of a temperament and an understanding of what to do. Like having an opportunity to build the offense around what your philosophy is, that'll help any one of our young guys, whether it's Tyler or Spencer. They're going to have a strong offensive line and a running attack, which the Saints are good. That's what I was telling people. I'm like, I don't understand why they keep trying to put the Saints as the worst team in the NFL. That is not the case. These people don't pay attention to this team like we do. They're too busy trying to look at all these teams and play like they know what the hell every team is doing, when that's not even possibly the case. That's why you see these guys jumping around talking about these different teams. You can't pay attention to all of these teams the way we pay attention to our team, because I don't do all that other stuff. I know what my team is about. I've always known what my team is about because this is my team. This is what we do, right? So I know for a fact the Saints are not a bottom 5 team in terms of talent. Statistically, they're underachieved for many different reasons. But I would have to group a lot of that because of the non-leadership that we seen displayed when we had that dumb head coach here. And now that we got that out of the way, we can get back to doing what we were supposed to be doing, which is running the football, playing defense, and being steady on special teams. It's as simple as that, right? We're not trying to rework the wheel. We're not trying to, do all this old fanciful stuff. We're not trying to create something that we don't need to create. We just need to be steady, consistent, and stop. And then also a lot of that bad leadership led to a lot of just brain neutral football. It was a lot of dumb football, a lot of unintelligent football, a lot of pre-snap penalty stuff going on. It was just, and you got to nip that stuff in the bud. A strong leader know to go and nip that stuff in the bud. We didn't. We just couldn't do that. We just didn't do that last year. So I attribute a lot of that to the fact that we simply didn't have a brain on top of this thing. But we got all of these fantastic players that'll just do so many great things. Whether it's Alvin, whether it's Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Demario Davis, Tyrann Mathieu. We got Justin Reed in here. Youngsters stepping up. Alante, Kool-Aid, some of these young, Carl Granderson, Chase Young, doing their thing. Brian Bresee, The young guys like Tyler and Kelvin Banks Jr. is going to be a stud. Juwan Johnson going to step up. So it's like the Saints have some really good players, but it's what you do with these guys in terms of setting them up into a system where we could be successful. That was not the case for the last 4 years with the black and gold. And Kellen Moore brings excitement here because of the fact that we've seen what his offense did with the Eagles last year that got him a bowl, right? We don't have to look down 3 or 4 years to say, well, 3 or 4 years ago, the guy won it. Actually won it last year as an offensive coordinator. That excitement carries over. We have good players in place that we could mimic a lot of the success of that offense. And defensively, I like what Staley's going to bring. So we're going to kind of delve into many of these topics in this show. So anyway, let's keep it rolling, man, in this thing. So although Shough is facing somewhat of a lose-lose situation at the moment, if he doesn't hold out long enough, he probably lose out on some guaranteed money. But if he holds out for more money, he might lose significant ground to battle for QB1. Indeed. And I don't consider it, and I hear what the writer's saying, shout out to him. I don't consider it a lose-lose situation for Tyler Shough because I personally think being that Tyler Shough is the handpicked person that Kellen Moore, the new head coach, is coming in with family. I personally think that he would be patient with Tyler. He really would. If it's a close competition, and Tyler Shough, that if he comes in and he goes and just takes it and stuff like that, I don't see that happening because I know it's a learning curve for him to pick up the game, whether he was in college for 7 years or not. It's not the same speed. It's not the same style of play. And most quarterbacks, be they Peyton Manning, Joe Montana, whoever you name, the best in the business, when they stepped in those doors to become a pro, fam, they had all kind of problems, doing their thing. Wasn't Peyton Manning, didn't he win one game in his rookie year or something like that? 1 game, 2 games? It wasn't very many, as great as he is. So it's going to be a learning curve, even though he's a 26-year-old, going to be a 26-year-old rookie, and he was in college for 7 years. It's still going to be a learning curve, despite the fact that he is mature. It might not be as long as some, but it still going to be somewhat of a curve. Well, Spencer Rattler got a year on him, and Spencer is a heady player. He's going to be there. But if it's all Tyler really has to do is keep it close. And if it's close, I really do think that they'll give it to Tyler Shough simply because he's his handpicked guy. Number two, he's going to be 26 years old. He's a second-round draft pick, so it's a lot of stuff going on with that. And I do think that if it's close, Tyler going to get it. Only way Spencer win it is he got to hit it, and he got to leave no room for error. Y'all know that. You know that. So lose. I know he got to get your money, and I think sooner or later there'll still be a room for him to perform because there is nobody else that'll be competing against just him. It's just him and Spencer. Jake Hayner's not even in the equation and competing for a starting job. The only way it is a case is if, God forbid, we have some type of injuries that occur with one of our young guys at the top 1-2, and then things kind of change. They do change like they always do, right? All right. Anyway, and let's just kind of move into it, man, into this one right here, to this article right here. And it kind of talks about the money right here. A contract details revealed for the second-round pick, Tyler Shough, with their meaning, what it could be after former Louisville QB Tyler Shough was selected by the Saints in the second round of the draft. His contract was revealed, according to Spotrac. Shough is projected to sign a 4-year deal at just under $11 million. This past season was the only one that Shough played with the Cardinals after playing at Oregon and Texas Tech in his college career. He had the best season of his career by far. Part of that was due to the fact that in 2024 season marked the first time in his career that Tyler had played in more than 7 games. He appeared in 12. He finished with over 3,100 yards, a passing completion of almost 63%, along with 23 touchdowns against just 6 picks. So a lot of goodness, a lot of positive stuff about Tyler Shough, man. And we'll see what happens with this thing because, like I said, I think he's heady enough, even if he misses a practice or two. Missing a practice or two, I don't think that hurts him. Maybe a week's worth of practices does definitely kind of hurt him, but I think that Coach Moore will be incredibly patient with Tyler Shough. I'm going to keep it all the way funky with y'all on that. All right. So anyway, let's move into this next article right here. Straight up from the Saints website. Shout out to JD. He says Saints defensive and offensive lines adapting under new coaching staff systems. This is a short article, just giving a little backdrop on the Saints, having a good idea who will be the players, but not as much information on the Saints offensive line will perform in these new schemes under a new coaching staff with physicality between the units non-existent until later in the summer. So the O-line, D-line, a lot of this is going to be figured out going into training camp, coach more. That's the reality. So, this is some of the stuff that he kind of talked about. And it's just one of the things that we know the importance of having the offensive lines put together because of the obvious fact that this will be by which the measurement by which we will succeed this year is how well we run the ball. The running game is very important. It will be important to the New Orleans Saints because it can't over rely on its young quarterbacks because they simply don't know enough to carry the team at this time. Spencer did pick up some good experience from being 0-6. And hey, man, how does he look with a healthier unit in front of him? He probably get a couple of wins at least, right? So anyway, shout out to Anola.com. Saints have devoted resources to their offensive tackles. Can this be an elite group? A year ago, it seemed like the Saints were in dire straits here, right? Dealing with the offensive line and what could go on later. But now the Saints might actually be positioned well at the position as long as a couple of things work in their favor. Tyler Shough is coming off a strong rookie season, doing which he played an unfamiliar position at left tackle. Rather than keep him there, the Saints poised to shift Shough to the right side, the position he played his entire career at Oregon State. Make room for number 9th pick, Kelvin Banks Jr. at the left tackle position, the blindside tackle. This is not set in stone, but it indeed is probably more than likely will be set in stone going forward. But the depth chart, as you can see, according to the experience there with Tyler Shough, Kelvin Banks Jr., Landon Young, Josh Ball, Josiah Raheem, Barry Wesley, and Easton Kilty. These are big guys. 6'6", Shough, 320 plus. Kelvin Banks, 6'5", 315. Landon Young, 6'7", 320. Josh Ball, 6'8", 325. Josiah Raheem, 6'6", 320. 9. Barry Wesley, 6'7", 310. And Easton Kilty, 6'6", 307. Big guys. All these guys. Shortest guy there is 6'5", Kelvin Banks Jr. That's crazy. Josh Ball, 6'8". So they got size, but you got to have some kind of athleticism if you're going to be on that tackle on that end because you're going against those speedy edge rushers, right? Now, the best case, this is kind of obvious. The Saints have devoted a top 15 picks in consecutive years to the tackles. If both of them hit, means the Saints could be on their way to having one of the NFL's premier offensive tackle tandems. I'm going to put it out there already. I think with good health, Kelvin Banks Jr., if you watch film on Kelvin Banks, he's an awesome player. He's smart, he's strong, he's fast, he's fundamental. Good pickup by the Saints. Tyler Shough, you already seen what he did at one of the more difficult positions in football, which is the blind side tackle, a position he didn't even play. Played mostly on the right side. He went there, dominated. Imagine what he looks like in year 2 on the right side, his natural position. He's going to be phenomenal. He's going to be phenomenal. He's going to be phenomenal. So I'm looking really always great to have two of those bookends. They kind of, set that line. They're a long way from that at the moment, but Banks has obviously yet to play a down, and he wasn't viewed as a slam dunk offensive tackle prospect. Some preferred him as a guard. That is true. That during the draft, and shout out to KT because me and him talked about Kelvin Banks Jr. He had a lot of positive things to say about Kelvin, but I was like, people kept trying to push Kelvin to the guard position, and I was like, nah, I can see him at tackle, but you can't flip him to guard if you need him to be. But he is a beast at the tackle position. He did very well when he was with the Texas Longhorns in college. Still, the Saints are making the right type of gamble at the position. Each of the 8 highest paid tackles in the NFL were selected in the first round, almost all of them inside of the top 15 picks. Only 2 AP All-Pro tackles in the last 5 seasons were drafted outside of the first round. That's David Bakhtiari and Jordan Mulata. Both of those guys. So that's pretty interesting. Taking a first-round tackle is no guarantee to success, but if you're going to find a good one, that is more often than not where they come from. Since Tyler had already shown that he can offer competent play at minimum, Banks is the key. It'll be foolish to expect Banks to step in and play at a top 10 level immediately. But if he can offer something similar to what Tyler did last year, roughly a top 20 player left tackle, that would be a reason to celebrate because it would mean that the Saints drafted a foundational player at a premium position. Indeed. That becomes especially meaningful if Tyler Fuaga's transition to the right side brings more out of him. He enjoyed one of the best seasons of a rookie tackle last year while playing a new position. On the right side, he will be back to where he played at Oregon State, and it is reasonable to expect a jump in his play. Oh, he's going to be phenomenal. He's going to be phenomenal. Good offensive line play and specifically good tackle play can be a floor setter for an NFL offense. If the Saints can get the best versions out of Tyler and Kelvin Banks Jr. This year, their chances of successfully implementing what Kellen Moore wants to do on offense will go up. Now, the worst case scenario, because you got to look at both sides, right, is while it is true that the top half of the first round is generally where the better offensive tackles are found, that doesn't mean the top 15 picks don't bust. It's less common, but it does happen. So that's good realism there. If for whatever reason Banks doesn't pan out, man, either at tackle or guard, we've seen this before with Trevor Penning, haven't we found? So it ain't like we haven't seen somebody, right? That if Kelvin Banks Jr. and listen, I think Kelvin pans out. I think he pans out. I really do, because I think the Saints team this year will be more run centric. They're going to be a more run centric team. They're going to run the ball, and that usually benefits big offensive linemen where they don't have to move around. And Kelvin Banks had that athleticism, just like Tyler. He got a mean temperament, mean streak, very intelligent as well. And when you have a run-centric offense on your hand, them big linemen love that. They don't have to go and chase nobody down. They just put their hands on those guys in front of them and just move them as meanly and as inconveniently as they can out of their damn way, right? So, and if Kelvin Banks doesn't work out, there's still a Trevor Penning approach, right? If you don't succeed at left tackle, try at right tackle. If you don't if you don't succeed at right tackle, try left guard. So I mean, at some point, the Saints are trying to find a place for Trevor Penning to reside, but I don't think that happens with Kelvin Banks. I think he'll do fine at the tackle position, man. But you got to humor, the opposite side, to be quite honest with you, right? You got to kind of, look at that. But the New Orleans needs Banks to hit for a lot of reasons related to his own field product, but also it needs a win from a premier pick after a run of muddling draft success. Well, that's because you took a ton of well, I ain't gonna say a ton, but it was guys that have not produced. Whether it's Peyton Turner, first round draft pick, bust. Davenport, bust. I can't say that about Isaiah Foskey. He's a second round guy, but when you get high, the ones and the twos, when you go that high, you're losing or you're not making the playoffs, and you get an opportunity to get a pick that's a top 15 pick or a pick that's in that area between 10 and 15. You got to hit on it, right? You got to hit on it, because what it does do is you get an opportunity to get a really good player there that you add to whatever else you got going on. And then this should help speed you back up to get back into being a top 10 or top 12 team in the NFL. That's what it's for. If you're not hitting on these players, these guys are not producing, and you got first round draft picks that's getting out produced by undrafted guys, that's an indictment on your drafting ability, because we pick up on a Carl Granderson, and Carl Granderson was better than Peyton Turner and Davenport mixed together. And he was an undrafted guy. He didn't even get drafted. And he worked up from the mud, and Carl Granderson was arguably, I ain't gonna say arguably, he was last year your best defensive end. Carl Granderson, undrafted. So, yes, and not only that, but Carl outplayed Isaiah Foskey, the slow man. I say snowman, but it's the slow man. Hopefully we can see something different. But those guys, you get undrafted guys, that are outplaying the drafted guys. And that's an indictment on your ability. We got to at least, you might not be able to hit on all three. Like, you draft well, you sign free agents well, and then you hit the undrafted market. At some point in time, recently, the Saints wasn't doing a good job in the free agency market. They wasn't hitting on all their draft picks, but they were killing it in the undrafted side of things. We got to at least get two of the three right, right? We got to get at least two of the three right. If we 3 for 3, then bam, you got a bowl coming to you, maybe a couple of them, maybe a string of bowls. If you hitting in all three of those that I mentioned, but you got to at least be hitting and for at least 2 out of the 3. You can't be 1 for 3. You're missing in free agency, you're missing in the draft, but you're killing it in the undrafted game. You got to get at least you got to at least get 2 of the 3 at least. My goodness. Anyway, let's get back to this. There's some risk of Fuaga taking a step back in 2025. You got to talk about it because it happens from time to time with that dreaded second year slump, right? The sophomore slump. Him switching positions to go back. He might be actually immune to that. I ain't say immune to it, but he's moving to a position of familiarity. It's usually, okay, how fast does he pick up? The first year him, what Tyler did was unbelievable because you don't see that often when you get a guy that played blindside tackle and then he comes and said, listen, we're going to put you on the opposite side. The man went over there and was good. He was good, right? He was excellent over there. And as and then now you want him to move from the blindside position that he dominated back to his college position that he came up to become a number 1 pick for you. So it switches back a bit, but I'm saying Tyler should be all right. He should be all right. Tyler's a smart dude, man. And that's things I like about these players. Not only are they big guys that are physical and got mean streaks, they ain't no punks. You ain't gonna push them over, and then they have this milk toast mentality, all this kind of stuff that we've seen from those dreaded backups last year. That's not the case. When you're dealing with a guy like Tyler and Kelvin Banks Jr., them guys have mean streaks in them. These guys, they won't allow to be dominated. Their mentality is gain every ground that we can get. Plus, these are guys that move very well. They knock this guy down, and then they fast enough to get to the second level to help, get to that linebacker to free up that running back. So we'll see how it all goes. But my expectations is high for Tyler Fuaga. So anyway, New Orleans was able to minimize the offensive line's shortcomings last season by combining their heavy zone run scheme with a steady diet of play action plays and bootlegs, stuff that will not be prevalent under Moore. The Saints also had Derek Carr, who played a bigger role than he got credit for in minimizing the rush. I don't know what he's talking about on that one. But from what I see based on my analysis and watching and doing the games and my eyes and all this kind of old stuff, the Saints dominated their running attack the first 2 games of the season. Somewhat of the third game, we know we lost McCoy in the series. He went down. They were not prepared to lose Eric McCoy, regardless of what they say. They didn't even have a steady backup center. They had to shuffle the line. That's an indication that you didn't have a backup center that can roll right in and keep the continuity. Everybody stay at their positions. The tackles stay, the guards stay, and then you just move one center out, he get hurt, we plug the backup center in there. They didn't even have that. They had to shuffle Lucas Patrick from the guard to the center position. That's not a plan. You don't want to move them guys around like that. You want to keep everything the same. But that's what I was talking about in the broadcast earlier about leadership, about understanding and that you have to be able to prepare yourself for losing anybody, no matter who it is. And you got to have the philosophy, because if we have a plan to run the ball and the guy gets hurt and one guy stops the team from winning, like one offensive lineman get hurt, then we got a problem, because it's a team sport. We got to, regardless of what happened, we cannot allow for loss of identity. We cannot allow for us to not be able to be a dominant running team when we're dealing with quarterback play. And last year's quarterback play with Derek Carr was up and down at best. He was injured in games. He was never fully healthy. His play was up and down. When he got pressure in his face, he was very scared. He didn't trust his line, like talking about. His accuracy was hit or miss at times. Don't get me wrong. He'd go in there and throw a rip run, whip run on, put a ball on a rope, a soap on a rope pass where he'll line it down there and come back out and throw a dart in the ground. A boy out there planting football seeds, throwing them in the ground. So, he wasn't all that. But in the end, when you coming into this system and what he got going on, you better believe they're going to run it. A heavy running scheme with a steady diet of play action passes and bootlegs. Yeah. But remember, you ain't get out with steady diet of play action plays. You got to run the ball, get into the play action. Oh my goodness. Like, man, what we talking about here? You got to run the ball to get into the play action. Let's just keep it all the way funky. You got to run the ball to get into the play action. And we seen the Saints play action without running the ball. That is not going to help you. It don't work because you got to create doubt in the mind of the defense of what they're doing. And you got to run it so you can set it up. Running play action plays without establishing a run is not a good thing. What's going to end up happening is, as soon as that quarterback play action to his running back, that damn defender on that other side, that extra linebacker coming, as soon as that guy turned his head, that goddamn guy on his back. Oh, better yet, yeah, he on his back. So, yeah, we don't want to do that. So, it is what it is. But there's zero chance, and let's get back to it. Yeah, that was setting up the play action. Bro, setting the play action up, running. It ain't going to work. It's not going to work right, fam. You cannot do that. You cannot set up and do play action without setting up the run first, because you're not creating any doubt in their idea, in their heads of what you're going to do. They're going to sit on that line, and the moment that QB turns around, that guy going to knock the piss out of him. That's just how it go. And poor Derek Carr, he was scared from the moment go. I remember when we was in the Chief game, we was rolling really good. And then next thing you know, he had a blitzer. The guy was like at least, 4 or 5 steps from getting from him. And this ball threw the ball up to an interception. What? That changed the whole complexion of the game. They were actually doing decent vibe-wise moving the ball. After that shit went away quick. But that's what happened when you got to have a quarterback with some heart. He can't be a scary punk out there running around. He got to be able to dig in, understand what's going on, see and have the optics and viewing everything, looking at the field, not just going through the motions and looking up and pretending to look. You got to look up and see where these guys are blitzing from so that you can switch the play to work against them. That's the reason why the quarterback get under the center and lift up his damn head and looks from center to left to right to find out where could he see where the blitz is coming from, what kind of defense are they running, this type of stuff, a thinking quarterback. And if he sees something that he can switch to that can benefit them to move the ball, like if they're running the ball and you see the guys crouching up, because they'll show you. Them defenders ain't that disciplined. They'll be crouching up to the line and all this kind of stuff. You got to be able to read that. So if they're showing they about to stack the box, ain't no reason for you to be trying to run the ball into a stacked box. Ain't no need for you to be trying to do that. You can option that, opt out of that. Opt out, hit the escape button and switch to a pass. And we're going to get more of that this year because it's smart quarterback play that we're going to get from these young guys, man. You watch and see. Going to take a little bit, but I'm really enthused by it. There's a 9-0 chance that Fuaga is better fit for Kubiak's scheme than he is for Moore, and it shows in his play. Both Fuaga and Banks play well. Depth is a concern. Been saying this for a while. The Saints don't have a lot of experience behind their presumptive starting tackles. Landon Young, I don't have no faith in Landon Young, no disrespect, but it's best used as a stopgap. Absolutely, I agree upon that. Offseason signing, Josh Ball hasn't played since 2022, oh Lord. And no other true tackle on the roster has played a snap in the NFL, right? Talked about that. Why is that an issue of concern? Because we dealt with this last year. We need to have guys that not just regular vet, just go sign a veteran, all this kind of stuff. No. Let's sign a good backup, a good veteran, at least at the blind side tackle position that can play both tackle spot, a good vet. He's at this point in time signing a good veteran that's like, you know, that can just play. If something was to happen, you can kind of do your thing right there, So he kind of helps out in that concern. Like he's a veteran. He played the tackle position, the blindside tackle position. He can play the opposite tackle position. If something was to go wrong with our young guys, he could pop up in there and play for a few games until our guys get back, that sort of thing. But that's what the problem I was saying about the offensive line. We have not gotten away from that. I do watch footage on Easton Kilty. I've watched some stuff on Josiah Raheem. Very interesting, but these guys are inexperienced. You need a good backup offensive lineman tackle that can play. Now, the Saints do have a guard, interiorly speaking, and Dylan Runnels, and whoever wins the job between Penning and Runnels, going to start, and obviously the loser will be the backup. So that would probably serve as, probably your best backup right there on the guards. But as far as the tackles are concerned, you're going to want to go and look at. Now, we know we got a rumor out there about the guy playing for the Cowboys. But if the Saints should be looking at signing at least 3 players to go into camp and open up some spots for some of these guys: a veteran cornerback, a veteran offensive tackle, maybe a couple of them to create a competition with the young guys, and another wide receiver, a big wide receiver to kind of get in the mix there. Those will be 3 really good things that I like to see. But if they don't do anything else, you need depth at the backup offensive line. So his prediction in 10 words: Banks struggles early but closes strong in a rookie season. I don't see how he struggles. If Kellen Moore's system is based upon running the ball, I don't see how Kelvin Banks Jr. will struggle. He'll have his few things because he might forget a play here or there. You see what I'm saying? All the rookies do that. But at the same time, that blindside tackle position ain't no punk. That blindside tackle position is based upon him, watching the quarterback's blind side, and that we got young players there. We don't need them getting knocked out of here. So they're entrusting Kelvin Banks Jr. with a big job. Can he handle it? I think so, especially if Kellen Moore and his staff is planning on running the football like we anticipate them to be doing. I think that will be pretty cool. All right. Let's keep it moving, fam. Let's keep it moving and grooving, man. Let's keep it moving. Keep it on moving. All right. Saints interior O-line could be much improved, but they're walking a fine line. All right. We're going to get into this one here. And this one here basically talks about the interior offensive line. We just talked about the exterior. How about the interior? Big position switch. That has to be doing with failed experience from tackle position. We ain't talking about none other but Trevor Penning, right? 3 seasons of bad to average results at the tackle position. Penning is shifting inside, a move both he and the Saints believe is natural and will be beneficial in the long run. Saints trying to turn the man into a successful NFL lineman. Left side, right side, and here we go to left guard, which this position probably will be his best one because playing the guard position not as demanding, right? He did better at the right tackle position. He never was supposed to be a left tackle. I was saying that the whole time. Oh, we're going to put him there. It was a disaster. And now they're trying to redeem this man. He got athleticism. He took a hit with getting beat up in how his play was. But I think Penning in his final rookie year, he got the pressure to improve on him to see what he can do. So it's that last year, the third position shift. Can he win the job over Dylan Runnels is yet to be determined, but that will he be facing? Final year of his rookie contract, getting an opportunity to prove if he deserves a second deal with the Saints. Joining Penning on the offensive interior are the Saints' 2 longest tenured offensive linemen, center Eric McCoy and right guard Cesar Ruiz, both of whom are coming off injury-plagued 2024 seasons, an unfortunate theme throughout the Saints offense. If Penning clicks and everyone stays healthy, admittedly big ifs, the interior of the offensive line could wind up being the Saints' greatest offensive strength this season. That is the key. The key. Now, I'm not crazy enough to accept the fact that this will actually happen because the reality is injuries happen. They will happen, whether to you play people in your special teams, your offense, defense. Injuries are going to happen. You just kind of look at it and say, man, as long as it don't happen back to back to back, I think we can deal with that, right? But yeah, that sounds good, but you don't have any control over that. All you have control over is picking up good depth in case of injury. You can control that. So we need to work on getting more veterans here. But anyway, Eric McCoy, 6'4", 303, 7 years in the league. Will Clapp is his backup, 6'5", 314, 8 years. Will Clapp, former 7th-round pick, very intelligent offensive lineman, not much athletically, but can be a decent option in terms of center, right? Feeling good about him. The guard positions, Cesar Ruiz, 6'4", 316, 6 years in the NFL. 6 years in the NFL, fam. 6 years in the NFL. Cesar Ruiz has been in the wow. That's crazy work, man. To me, that man been in there for 6 years, man. I thought Cesar Ruiz was probably a lot better than what he been, to be honest with you. Thank you, Pamby, for being a member for 35 months. Shout out.
Get the money out. Stay cool. Nobody gets hurt. Take the money out. All of it. Come on. Wasting my time now. Come on.
Trevor Penning up next, 6'7", 325, 4 years in the league. Dylan Runnert, 6'6", 301, been in there for 5 years. How about this name for you? Nick Saldiveri, been in the league for 3 years and a whole lot of nothing, right? You're talking about Kendre Miller till they blue in the face. I don't hear anybody saying batting one damn word. Y'all notice that? Put one in the chat if you notice that, right? Is all these articles about Kendre Miller and what Kendre Miller, how he doing this and how he doing that, but not one article about Nick Saldiveri. The Saints basically handed Nick Saldiveri the starting job last year coming into camp, and all he did was got hurt. Hell, he got hurt at the OTAs. Did y'all know that he had a calf issue at the OTA? Right? Man, I mean, no, they never talk about that guy. Never, ever, 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 ever. They never talk about that man, fam. Right? Okay, what up, AKZ? What's up, brother? Appreciate you. What's up? Bev Santa, Greg Santa, Reginald. Yeah. Pammy, 1111111. And never say nothing. That's weird to me. We can sit up here and lambaste the hell out of him. All these like Kendre Miller. If Kendre Miller, we're gonna cut him, but not one. We ain't gonna get rid of Nick Saldiveri. Been here for 3 years, ain't done nothing. He gets hurt every year. Hell, he was hurt this year. So when is it for Nick Saldiveri? I mean, when is it for Nick? I mean, I don't get it. Kyle Hergel, 6'2", 315, he's too small to be a guard, maybe a center, I guess. And Torricelli Simpkins, the third, 6'5", 312, like his tape, inexperienced. So as you can see, the Saints have a lot of inexperienced players, and you look at Nick Saldiveri, been on Saints for 3 years, but he ain't done nothing. He ain't no playing time, you know? And we talked about that before. Like Cesar Ruiz inside should be our best interior player outside of McCoy. 6 years in the league and not one Pro Bowl. I thought Cesar Ruiz should have been the best player on it. 6 years and all the games he played. And it's just mind-boggling. But these are some of the guys. Best case scenario before getting to Penning and his ideal outcome, the true best scenario for this Saints offensive line involves McCoy staying healthy for the entire season. We'll see. Because McCoy has been dealing with injuries, not this year, but last year too. McCoy going through these injuries. Now, prior to that, I like Eric McCoy a lot. He's one of my favorite Saints, right? Oh, yeah. Doc 54 says Saldiveri. He an old Italian name, right? Just like DA, they know where the bodies are buried. Saldiveri, huh? All right. Yeah, but I'm just saying, man. Like, what's up, King Eternal? Shout out to you. Yeah, he says he's more off cold type. Yeah, but see, the thing is, I'm saying at the end of the day, man, is that wasn't Nick Saldiveri he was a 5th round selection, right? And maybe that's why they're paying attention to it, because what was Kendre Miller? A 3rd rounder? Wasn't Kendre a 3rd rounder? But be that as it may, they had starting aspirations for Nick Saldiveri. All he does is get hurt. And there's nothing, when Dennis Allen, the possum, set up there and he laid out Kendra Miller and was talking about this, that, and the third, and put Kendra Miller on the list, and he wasn't even hurt. But we don't see none of that happening with this other guy. I just don't understand, man. I don't get it. But you're right, off cold behavior. That's true. But that's why we got to call it out. We gotta play fair. We gotta make sure everybody get that equal weight. We gotta do that. All right. So anyway, McCoy has shown he can be durable, playing at least 99% of the team's offensive snaps in 3 of his 6 professional seasons. But he also battled through injuries in 3 of his last 4 campaigns. That's what I'm saying. The last 3 of the first starting year, and listen, that's called wear and tear. That's called wear and tear. That's called wear and tear, fam. Y'all hit the like button for me. That's wear and tear. When you see a guy like when you see a man like with McCoy, right? When we see a guy like McCoy, and McCoy is getting hurt, like I said, he was hurt. He played in what was it? Half the season last year, and the weeks 1 and weeks 2, he was dominant. After he got hurt and he came back, he was half of what he was. He was half of what he was, which means when he came back, I don't think he was truly healthy. I know he wasn't truly healthy because that's not the Eric McCoy that I know. So I know that's why I chalked it up when McCoy looked like that last year. After he came back from those games when he was hurt and he played and then got hurt again, I was like, man, that's not McCoy. That's not, he was still hurt. And you could tell, even when he played a couple of games and kind of shook the rust off, he still didn't look right. So, and the man astutely lays it out and says that he was durable, playing almost 100% of the snaps the first 3 seasons, but battled through injuries the last 3. So missing 5 games in 21, 4 in 22, and a career high 10 last season. Fam, that's 5, that's 4, that's 10, that's 19. Over the last 3 games. I like what he's doing here because he's letting you know that in a tough NFL landscape, people start breaking that. They start breaking down. If I'm a smart coach or GM, I'm noticing that McCoy missed 19 games. Did y'all know that? Because I didn't know it was 19. I ain't count the games. That's why I like the fact that the man laid it out over the last year, because they don't mention that. They talk about how good Eric is and all this stuff. I mean, Eric is very good when he's healthy. But did y'all guys know that he missed 19 games over the last 3 years? Did you know that? Put it in the chat. Did you know? Because I damn sure didn't know. And I watched these games. But putting a number to it adds so much depth to it. It really does. 19 games. Let that marinate. He missed 5 in 21, 4 in 22, and 10 last year. That's 19 games. So when you start seeing happening injuries over and over again, you got to start going out there and say, hey, bro, we might have to start drafting a center to learn behind McCoy just in case, because it's a physical landscape. Stuff happens. We seen what happened with our guy Ram. When Ram started off the first 4 years kicking ass, was one of the best one of the top 5, top 10. He's top 5 in my book. Offensive tackles in the game. And then right at the end of that 4th season, he got hurt, and then the rest of his career went to hell in the handbasket. He could not get around the injuries, and the man had to retire because he couldn't beat the injury monster. The injury monster beat on him. This happens to players. Not everybody Willie Roaf. Not everybody some of the guys that that can get through that. That's a tough thing to deal with. But when you see that, you got to understand, hey, man, I got to pivot and maybe go and see if I can find a young guy that can groom. So if something happens, McCoy, we got somebody there. You see what I'm saying? But that's a lot of time for McCoy. That's crazy work. But very interesting, though. It's a tough game, fam. It's tough. All right. So anyway, Considering what the Saints are operating with at quarterback this year, it would be extremely beneficial to have McCoy on the field. Absolutely. Not only has he played at the Pro Bowl level when he's been on the field, he was Pro Football Focus #1 center last season before the injury. Yes, he was. But McCoy's experience and leadership will take a big burden off a young quarterback in terms of identifying pressures and calling out protections. This is absolutely true because that's what McCoy does. He situates the offensive line. He's the brains of the offensive line. And that's what McCoy does so very well. But we need Will Clapp to do that too. We need Will Clapp to identify pressures and call out protections as well. We need the backup center to do everything the starting center to do. The New Orleans was undoubtedly better when McCoy was on the field last year. In the 5 games he played, at least 65% of the snaps, the Saints were 4-1 and scored 35 points or more 3 times. That's obviously not all on him, but he plays an integral part in the offense. This is true. But McCoy is a known commodity, and to a lesser degree, so is Ruiz. The big question mark is Penning. Right? Now, listen, before we get to Penning, we got to pivot and stop on Ruiz because Ruiz need to step the shit up. For real. Now, I've been saying this for a while, fam. Y'all know. And if you watch on Patreon, shop our Patreon champions, our YouTube membership family. On Patreon, we do the breakdowns. And when you watch the film, I pinpoint and show y'all in the film what Ruiz be out there. Ruiz don't always have his head on straight. I'm like, he make way too many mistakes for a man that been a Saint for like 5 years. You know, and listen, Ruiz plays a lot of games. He should be our best interior offensive lineman. Hands down. He was a first-round draft pick who played center in college. They shifted him to guard. He struggled the first year or two. Really, the only solid year that I could say that that Ruiz was actually like on that level is, what was that? That was the season before he got paid. The season before he got paid is when that last year leading into whether or not the Saints should pay him. That's when he was balling, and then when he got the money, he just leveled out. He didn't keep going on no incline. Once he got paid, he found a little home there. Now, maybe that's a part of him just not pushing himself. That's a big part of him not pushing himself. Maybe that's tied to the offensive line coach not getting a lot of them. But we need to see a real Pro Bowler, not this fake garbage they did last year, by handing out Pro Bowl nods because they like a guy or whatever. Because obviously it wasn't. I like McCoy, but McCoy didn't play well enough last year where he got a Pro Bowl nod. Come on, let's keep it real. He ain't played well. He played really good in 2 games, weeks 1 and weeks 2. I watched the damn tape. The rest of that stuff, man, you can miss me with that. So when they start giving Pro Bowl nods on 2 games, so that's just some garbage. I disrespect that fully. But in the end, we need him to play at a very high level, is what I'm saying. We need him to elevate to the best player that we ever seen. And then we looking at Ruiz in there smashing stuff, pushing over people, doing this type of stuff. You see what I'm saying? That's what I want to see from Cesar Ruiz. I want to see Cesar Ruiz be way better than what he is now. I think he could be way better. I don't think I don't know if it's something not there all the way. Maybe it's up to the offensive line coach, Brendan Nugent, to get it out of him. Maybe this scheme, this system that they're working on will be able to change some stuff. I don't know. But something got to happen. We need that guy to step the hell up for real. Anyway, the big question is Penning. He flamed out at left tackle. The Saints moved to the right side where he gave them solid but not overwhelming good play. And now the new coaching staff, a group that includes new offensive line coach Brendan Nugent, is going to give him a long look at the left guard spot. In theory, the move makes sense. At his best, Penning is an aggressive, mauling run blocker who has the strength to dominate at the point of attack. At his worst, pass protection technique has fallen apart when he was asked to be in space. By moving him to the guard, the Saints are accentuating his strengths and minimizing his weaknesses. Well said. Well said. Absolutely well said. Well said. Absolutely. Because the thing about Penning, and you can study it on the film, we do it on the Patreon stuff, is that with Penning, his technique is flawed and it's inconsistent, right? You can see him really want to do the right thing. Like you'll see Penning doing some plays where he'll maul out, but a great deal of the plays that we were watching on film going in toward the later portions of the year, he would just be, it's just his technique sucks. And it's a shame because the offensive line coach is supposed to be like working on that. And every week he'll come out and he'll block too high. He'll be late to the party. And when I mean late to the party, you will see Penning not knowing. I don't know if it's combination of him not knowing what it's got to be that, not knowing his plays. Because he'll block a guy, then stay with the guy. It'll be him and another offensive lineman blocking a defender, right? The moment the lineman engaged, you're supposed to slide off of that defender and go to the next level to catch the next guy. He didn't do that. And when he did do it, he was late to the party, right? So how much of that is just poor coaching by that stank offensive line coach we had last year and Clint Kubiak, that garbage offensive coordinator? How much of that played into it? Because if you're a good coach, and we got good coaches out there, listen to the show. Y'all know if y'all an offensive line coach, you're not going to repetitively and consistently week after week roll out an offensive lineman and he keep doing the same bad non-fundamental stuff. Stand blocking too high where he erases his leverage, where guys walking him back. Not bending where he's supposed to, not knowing when to slide a shed off of guys that you're blocking to get to the next level. Not understanding if you're going to be the lead blocker, if they have a toss play to the right and you're on that side, knowing that you got to get out front and get that guy before that defender get to your guy, right? We've seen a lot of times that Penning was late to the party. And that's the fact. That's preparation. He wasn't prepared correctly. Now, will Nugent come in here and get these guys leveled up on game? At the guard position, Penning could work. He could work because he is better run blocking than he is pass blocking. He definitely have the athleticism, and he's definitely a mauler as a part of his game. So putting him inside makes sense. The only thing is, will he be good enough to keep the job versus the guy that played guard his entire career in Dylan Runnets, right? That's the only question I have, right? How patient will the Saints be with Penning at the time? Now, of course, Dylan Runnets is coming in here. He on a cheap deal. It's a 1-year prove-it deal. So he's going to be motivated to get the job because if he dominates, that means possibly that he can come in and get a contract and be a starting guard on a good team. Penning also has on the remaining year of his rookie deal, but it favors really Dylan Runnets more does it Penning because Penning got to learn a whole new job. He got to learn a new job. So that's the big point about it. He's not over there with no competition. They got a guy that'll be fighting him for that spot in Dylan Runnets. And Runnets ain't coming here to be no backup. That's the bottom line, right? So anyway, now the new coaching staff, a group that includes new offensive line coach Nugent, is going to give him a good look. It makes sense. Pennis is aggressive, but by moving him to guard, the Saints are accentuating his strengths and minimizing his weaknesses. Essentially, the Saints are asking a 6'7", 320-plus pounder to play in a phone booth, which should be beneficial. He will have to prove he can handle some of the premier defensive tackles who play in the division. Vita Vea, Derek Brown, he have to be but he ain't gonna be on no island though, right? Now it's a decent chance that guard is Penning's natural position that he finally delivers on the promise that made the Saints select him at 19. The Saints don't want to say, okay, we took Penning and he a bust too. They're trying to find a spot for him. The physical ability has never been a question. If the light bulb clicks on, the Saints made position have an above average offensive line across the board in 25. Now listen, I am definitely kind of rooting for Penning to get it, but it may go to the best player. Worst case scenario, if McCoy can't stay on the field, that could trigger a pretty rough domino effect for the Saints offense. We seen it happen last year, didn't we? New Orleans signed old friend Will Clapp this offseason for depth along the offensive interior. He can play 3 positions, but he don't pay him very well. That's like they said that shit about Nick Seldaveri. Oh, Nick Seldaveri can play tackle, he can play guard, he can play center, but he don't play none of this shit very well. What good is playing all the positions you don't play them very well? So he says, but there's a big gap between Clapp, I don't know if he mean to rhyme with that, who played 67 offensive snaps last year for Buffalo, and McCoy. It's definitely a talent drop. That's what I was telling y'all early on about getting in a position where the Saints should have drafted a player. Like you can draft a guy, and then groom him as a center. But anyway, he said McCoy impacts every phase of Saints offense, and there's only going to be more on his plate this year with an experienced quarterback lining up behind him. That's why we pay him the big bucks. If he deals with that injury again this year, it will be difficult for the Saints to navigate this loss, even with the talent around him. So the 19 games, think about that, fam. The 19 games, what's up, Stace? The 19 games that McCoy missed over the last 19 years. I mean, 19 years. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm out here my head with somewhere else. It felt like 19 years all this damn losing, but the 19 games that he's missed due to an injury over the last 3 years. That's something. So, it makes sense. Like he could shake it off this year, but hey, that's a troubling trend because that means that he could be breaking down physically where he's getting these injuries, which means he can't be counted on that, which means that is Will Clapp, as smart as he is, it's an athletic deficit to Will Clapp. Now I know Will Clapp's smart enough to call out the protections and all this kind of stuff. I know he could do that, but it's a big drop in terms of the athleticism of a Will Clapp versus a McCoy, obviously, right? That's something to study upon. That's why I was like, the Saints would do themselves a service to get some more vets in here. Having another veteran center to compete with Will Clapp wouldn't hurt. Saints got all the money in the world, and having veterans there at the blind side tackle, like a veteran left tackle who can play right tackle if something was to happen, smart. Having another veteran center to compete with Will Clapp for the backup center position, smart, right? Just smart. That just two very important positions we cannot have any problems with. McCoy impacts that. So, and Penning is a gamble. Even with Dylan Runnets ready to take his spot, if he struggles, the fact of the matter is that Penning is just an idea at the guard right now. And even if it makes sense logically, it really may not be practical. His technique issues may just be pronounced inside as they were outside. And if there's one thing that can turn an otherwise good passing play into disaster, it's interior pressure. Listen, regardless of, and I'm going to just keep it all the way funky, this should be an improved unit, but it's no slam dunk. According to the writer, he says Penning will play well enough to merit a modest extension. Let me just say this about Penning, and I like Trevor Penning, man, not to beat up on the young guy, because people been doing that for a while. I've been always the guy. What's up, KK? Shout out to KK, man. Much love. What's up, New Orleans? Shout out to y'all. Said Penning is a work in progress. Got the tools, can put it together. King Eternal says, LOL, I hope McCoy stay healthy. But like you said, Q, yes. That, I told y'all, I was like, fam, McCoy been missing games. I told y'all I just did not know the number. Thank you to the writer, because he put a number on the games. And people are like, oh yeah, Q. But when you see there is a pattern, it ain't just a one, because people got this thing in their mind that, what happened to McCoy this past year, him missing all them games, was just an isolated incident. Q, he's just 1 year. He's going to be healthy next year. But what if you have 3 years of it and it adds up to 19 missed games? That's a problem. That's a problem. Because McCoy is just too important. You got to have security there. But outside the Penning thing, shifting Penning inside does cover up a lot of his issues, but it does not cover up the fundamental issues of him blocking too high. Is somebody going to teach him to bend his knees? And stay there? To use his leverage? And how you going to... And that might be a problem for a 6'7" tackle turn guard to tell him, and then he got a guy competing with him, right? Because when they signed Dylan Runnets wasn't signed after they made the shift. Dylan Runnels was signed prior to them making a move. Dylan Runnels was signed when they signed Dylan Runnels, people had Dylan being the starting guy there. Then later on, things changed once we had Kellen doing all the shifting stuff. Then somebody in the building, hey man, could we do something with Trevor Penning? Because when they drafted, people thought they were going to keep Tyler at tackle, at left tackle, Penning at right tackle. But when Kelvin Banks Jr. got selected, it'd be like, Penning's out of a job. They denied his fifth-year option, basically making him unrestricted free agent coming up next year. Dylan Runnels was already guard position, set up to start. Now they pivot and put Penning ahead of him because of the draft status. I'm a first-round draft pick. Saints want to try to get that pick as many opportunities to make the team, to the chagrin of Dylan Runnels. But all it does do is it provides a good flow of competition and another position that we can look at as a support base and say, man, they got a lot of good competition. We got the quarterback competition. We got, the backup running back position. We got who's going to be the third, who's going to be the young guys behind the top three wideouts that we got. Who's gonna win that left guard position? It's something else. The punter competition, with burn up, that kind of thing, and even the kicker competition with Charlie Smith going against Blake Grupe. Don't overlook Charlie Smith. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying is it's another area of competition that we can look at and kind of and see who's better at. But Penning is behind the 8 ball on here, because Dylan Runnels has been a guard for his career, played a lot of games there, stepping into that. Penning got an uphill battle. They might want him to succeed, but that don't mean he gonna succeed. What's up, Montreal? Who that to you, brother? Appreciate you. Y'all hit the like button for me. Yeah, he says, yeah. But the thing is, can Brendan Nugent teach Penning to fix his technique? I mean, even if, it's just, the light, they said the light bulb going on. But the reason why he looks so bad is because his technique is not good. It's not good. I just don't see how professional coaches are not working with Penning last year to get all that iron out. Like, that should have been a year. Last year should have been a year where they got all that out of his system. Like, all this bad technique. Yeah, I was bad. I was too high. I'm 6'7", 320 pounds, and I'm trying to block people high, and I'm losing my leverage. But, they'll just push him over or open him up like he had one of them revolving doors at them expensive hotels. They just spin him around and that shit. But, I mean, it's just, that has to change. You put him at guard, yes, it's a little closer there, but still a guy charging in on him, if he blocking up too high, just going to moonwalk him back into the quarterback's lap. So you still, regardless of where you move him, you still got to fix the technique. We can't get around it. We're going to move him over here. We're going to move him over here. We're going to move him over here. You still got to fix his technique. His technique is bad. Let's hope this offensive line can get that done, man, for real, man. All right, so, and here we go, fam. This is going to be the last one. If y'all got any questions, throw them in the chat. No, I'm say he's slow, Q. Yeah, he got some athletic. He can work as a running guy there. But like I said, fam, y'all know we seen this all the time with Trevor Penning. I like the kid. But I'm saying, man, if people are paying me as a and we can I put the blame on both of them, right? We got a coach, an offensive line coach that get paid to get these guys together to make sure they right. And a player is going to practice and do what he feels. But it's up to the coach to take the player and iron out the wrinkles. Say, look, brother, listen, man, look at this tape. These guys studying tape and everything. They got a whole damn pointer that you point up at the wall, and say, hey, listen to your technique. You're up too high. Hell, you got tons of film. If you can give him a model to follow after, right? Find him a lineman that he could be, right? Now, for instance, who do you guys, with what you've seen from Trevor Penning from college, y'all guys tell me, right? Let me know from what you've seen from Penning, from now into college, which player you think he could be? Y'all let me know. Which player do you think he could be, realistically? A good player that Penning could be. Don't give me a player like Tony Buselli, because he'll never be that. He'll never be a Tony Buselli. He'll never be a Willie Rope. He'll never be a what's your boy? Shit, there's so many of them, man. I'm drawing blanks. There's so many great ones, man. He'll never be that. He'll never be that. Okay. Somebody said Jari Evans. We give him a player, like a video footage of a player or whatever the case may be, right? We give him that player, and then we get him to study that player's technique and say, this is who we envision you being like, right? And give it to him. His technique is just bad, man. He blocks up too high. And he coming into his 4th year and he's still dealing with that bad technique, which means a lot of them offensive coaches have failed him. And that's a shame because they didn't do their goddamn jobs right, you know? And it shows on film. You can't fake the funk when it come down to film work. Let me tell you something. It shows everything. It shows who ain't studying. It shows who slow to the party, who ain't getting where they're supposed to be. It shows that if you confused, not knowing what you're doing. And like I said, they knew the Saints players last year were dealing with intelligence issues, not knowing their playbook, because I highlight this all the time. I showed it on the film. I was like, fam, listen, they're timing the Saints snap count where the defense would shift right before the damn snap, which would force the Saints offensive line to think about who they got to block. So they would shift just to cause confusion and test the mentality of these guys to see who they were supposed to pick up. And somebody would get free to get a shot at the quarterback, right? They was doing that to the Saints. And I sit up there and watched. I was like, man, these offensive line coaches, these coaches failed them guys. There is no way Penning should still be that non-fundamental coming into year 4? Dude, no, absolutely not. So Brendan Nugent and these other guys, they got something to work with because the kid got talent. He got strength. He got talent. We know he's smart and we know he's strong. He got a strong resolve because he got beat up on, right? He got beat up. So we know Trevor Penning is a smart, tough player who don't give up. We just need to give him an idea of what he could be. And we got to have a coach that believes in him so that he can do that. That's what we got to have. I'm just keeping it real. All right, so let's get into this, fam. Let's jump. This is my last one. If y'all got any questions, put Q in front of it, and I'll do my best to answer it at the end of the broadcast. Saints cornerback Kool-Aid McKinstry, named as the breakout candidate for 2025. Kyle Beeson from Athline Sports. Saints cornerback Kool-Aid McKinstry named the breakout candidate there. He's a 2024 second-round draft pick, and they got Kool-Aid, the best nickname on the team, as the Saints breakout candidate this year. And his logic behind that is, at 22 years of age, had an up and down rookie season, but showed plenty of promise. Now with an increased role in 2025, many are predicting the former second round pick to have a breakout season in his second year. New Orleans selection of McKinstry helped the team to make the decision to move on from All-Pro Marshawn Laddie Daddy Lattimore and let Paulson Adebo walk in free agency. The Athletic named the opposing quarterback's passer or cornerback or the opposing quarterback's passer rating below 78 when targeting the rookie cornerback as a key factor in his development. McKinstry would have had an impressive 3-game stretch with quarterbacks, throwing 6 for 20 when he was targeted. However, the Saints cornerback room is one of the biggest question marks on the roster. The team has made plenty of efforts to add to their young core, with the team making a hard push for Shavarius Ward in free agency and drafting Quincy Riley. The team also has also been named suitors for standout cornerback Asante Samuel Jr., who the team brought in for a visit in early June. While the Saints are active in the cornerback market, they may have scrutiny at the position of security, rather. I said scrutiny, which they're going to have too, at the position with a breakout from the second-year cornerback. McKinstry is disciplined in pass coverage and has an incredible IQ. He was a 3-year starter at Bama and played against top-end talent in the SEC. He definitely have the temperament. McKinstry will have a lot to prove in 25. The former 41st overall pick had a lot of valuable resources invested in him, and we'll see a pivotal role in the Saints defense moving forward. With the Saints betting on the second-year cornerback, the media believes he will have a breakout year for the black and gold. So there you go, fam. What y'all think about Kool-Aid McKinstry as a backup breakout year? I think that's a pretty good bet. I mean, I'm not mad at that at all because Kool-Aid McKinstry, to me, is the future of the cornerback position. I like Alontae Taylor. I think you'll see the best version of Alontae Taylor this year. I like Alontae a lot. I think Kool-Aid McKinstry is special. I think he is the proper temperamented cornerback. I think he'll come in and follow right along with the best cornerback the Saints ever had, and Marshawn Lattimore. Let's just straight away. Marshawn Lattimore was the best cornerback in Saints history. Y'all agree with me on that? Put one in the chat. Because I don't know who you're going to put up there with him. Lattimore, to me, is the best cornerback in Saint history. You know what I'm saying? That's just bottom line. But Kool-Aid could be, I think he's going to follow right behind that. That was a great pick the Saints got with Kool-Aid. Alontae Taylor's there. Now, of course, they have to see who the third cornerback is going to be. Ugo Amadi. Isaac Yiadom was signed. There's still some people there. We're going to see if Quincy Riley, who was the pickup for the Saints this year, the guy drafted out of Louisville, they're looking at him at some point, maybe stepping up and sealing and getting a nickel position. They talked about Ashanti Samuel Jr. I really do think that the Saints are definitely going to bring in another veteran. They've been looking for another veteran to bring in. They tried them out, and there might be others. There could be others. I think there'll be other players the Saints will bring in once training camp get kicked in. I think another cornerback is on his way. I think a wide receiver is on his way. I think we might have some offensive linemen too. So we'll see how it works. Yeah, it's people. Dave went. Nah, bro, come on. Tracy Porter wasn't better than Lattimore, bro. Absolutely not. And I like Tracy, but Tracy wasn't. He was clutch. You right, AKZ. He was clutch, but he ain't better than no Marshawn Lattimore, brother. Dave Waymer, you going all the way back, New Orleans. You're going all the way back. But I got to say, Dave Waymer, Tracy Porter aside, I got to go with Lattimore. Marshawn Lattimore, to me, is the best cornerback in Saints history. Yeah. Jay Hunt, what's up, Jay Hunt? He says Ashanti Samuel ain't what he used to be, dealing with injury. That's why I was saying they're going to be somebody the Saints reach at in the cornerback room to bring in. I don't know if, because they kind of switched it a bit unofficially, some of the depth charts have Ugo listed as safety again, right? We know he did a good job at the nickel position, but maybe with Coach Staley taking over the defense, that might not be something, he might not want a 5'7" or whatever he is, 5'7" nickel. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. So, I mean, we're going to see how that all works, man, to be honest with you. But very interesting to say the same, man. What do you guys think here? All right, masculine mindset. Okay, shout out to masculine mindset. All right. Yes, KK say Ladder Daddy, Saints go. I got it. Yeah, I got to give it to Lattimore, man. I like Tracy Porter. I like Tracy Porter a lot, though. He was a really good player, but he wasn't Marshawn Lattimore, bro. Dave Waymer, you go all the way back. Dave Waymer was a hell of a cornerback, but he wasn't Lattimore, man. Lattimore, Lattimore was the dude, man. And Waymer's up there. I just think we got a lot of great Saints that are right now. Yeah, he says, I agree. Yeah, okay. All right. So, yeah, this is indeed, man. And, of course, let's hit this article, Ray. I got a bonus article. Actually, two more I want to talk to you about. He says that Bradley Roby guy was wasted all that money. Yeah, Bradley Roby, Brandon Browner, Bro, it's a laundry list of trash cornerbacks, bro. You won't go on that. New Orleans Saints running back AK-41 prepared for workload as always. Kellen Moore says one of the most premier players in our league. We want to utilize every aspect of that. And guess what? AK-41 is ready. He says Alvin will be ready because, quite frankly, when has Alvin Kamara not be ready? He ain't lying. So, despite being absent from the OTAs, all this kind of stuff, the franchise all-time leader in rushing yards over 6,700, rushing touchdowns 60, total touchdowns 86, yards from scrimmage over 10, almost 11,000. Showed up and displayed why entering his ninth season he remains a centerpiece. From the onset, Kamara, who totaled 1,000 plus yards from scrimmage in each of his previous seasons, 8 seasons, has displayed wits that matched his skills and preparation. That didn't change under Kellen Moore. Kamara did his offseason training in elevation in Colorado, and he came mentally prepared for the work. He know this is it. Alvin Kamara never had that 1,000-yard year. He gonna get it this year. Obviously, one of the most premier players in the league, his ability to run the football and play in a passing game, Moore said. So we want to utilize every aspect of that. It's going to be a really big time, impactful runner running the football first and foremost, then obviously the passing game. His ability to create matchups is going to be an advantage for us. What's really fun about being around Alvin is his mental capacity is really high. He's really a smart dude. He understands football at a really, really high level. He played so much game. I really enjoy and I look forward to more and more of those conversations as we go through this of team up on this thing. Everyone knows his impact for a number of years now, so he'll be a big part of this. AK-41 is a living legend, man. He will, and he understands the business of why Moore is in New Orleans. We're in a new kind of different energy to the team that I've kind of been on my whole career. It's kind of been the same since I got here. Now a change is coming in. It's different. I got to kind of train my mind to be like, I can't look at how things used to be done. I got to get with this. It's not hard, but 2 days it's cool, but we'll see during the camp when the camp starts. He said, I think it's needed. Obviously, in this league, you want to win, and we haven't been doing much of that consistently enough. Amen. So you start talking about with the Saints start bringing in, man, with AK-41. Let me tell you something, fam. This is going to be a monster year for Alvin Kamara when Kellen Moore touchdown, because the reality is he's never, out of all the fantastic things that AK-41 has done and his excellent career with the Saints, this guy's a living legend. Got all the records. He got the career rushing record. He's going to set it, too, because he's still a young player in great condition. He's going to put it up so high that probably nobody's going to catch it for the next 20 years. So he means so much to the Saints offense because he can do it all. Alvin Kamara, one of those players that never have to lead the field. Even if you want to give running backs reps to run the football, AK can be used as a decoy. He never has to leave the field. He really don't. So for a guy like Kellen Moore that has offensive innovation, to have a player like Alvin Kamara, man, listen, Alvin can mean as much to the Saints' chances of having a successful season, having an awesome offense as what we've seen with Christian McCaffrey, what he did with the 49ers. This could be the year for Alvin Kamara. Like, he's never eclipsed 1,000 yards in a single season, but he's done everything else, right? And he really wanted that 1,000 yards this year. And the injuries stopped him from getting there. But with Kellen Moore coming in here and Pagnetti and Brendan Nugent, those guys coming in here with that mentality, hey, man, we got a young quarterback. We're going to have to run the football. AK-41 getting ready for a monster year. And it took so long, but we could see possibly a season where Alvin Kamara with over 1,200 yards rushing. Could we say 1,100 plus yards rushing? You know? The scrimmage yards off the chains. Because the thing is, in Kellen Moore's offense, they're going to go in there with at least three, maybe 4 running backs, right? 3 running backs running, mixing things up, because that's the offense. It's going to be a run-heavy offense to get the play action going, to our quarterbacks get up to speed on the game plan of what we're trying to do. The Saints going to be a ground pound team with a strong defense, a strong defense that flies around making plays, providing short turnovers, which provides short fields for this offense. Special teams going to be good. So this is a big year for Alvin Kamara because truthfully, the most important part of it is him. It's Alvin. We talk about Tyler. We talk about Spencer. We talk about those guys, and they are important, right? They're the quarterback. But really, everything offensively will rest on this man right here. Is he ready? And he always ready. Alvin Kamara, you put a football game on right now. Alvin Kamara go playing it for you right now. He ready. That's his whole career. Is the guy ready for anything? He ready. He ready to go right now if you want him to. So this is a big moment, man. And like we talk about it because you kind of get used to the standard of greatness, but you got greats on this team, living legends. Cam, Alvin, Demario when it goes down could possibly be one of them guys they talk about, right? Tyrann Mathieu. You talk about guys that could be Hall of Famers when it's all said and done. Guys that will be Hall of Famers when it's said and done. And you looking at living legends. So for Alvin Kamara, he's done everything here in New Orleans, right? Now winning titles and this type of stuff and putting the team in his hands and on his shoulders, I think he's ready. So you're going to get ready to see 1,100 yard rushing season from AK-41. What y'all think about that? We haven't seen that. But this year with a run-centric team, we might get that, fam. That'll be awesome, man. I ain't going to lie to you. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that. All right. Stacy said 2,000 yards. Yeah, oh, yeah. All right. Jay Hunt says, no, Q. We have too many runners to run along with more than 17. I'm just saying, bro. Alvin is the star back. He's the guy. He's the focal point, the fulcrum of the offense. And then you'll have a Kendre Miller that you can mix in there, Devin Neal, and some of these other guys. You got to know if the Saints keep 4, that's a stretch. But if the Saints keep 4, probably the last guy will be a kick return or something, right? He's going to work in the special teams. But it definitely 3 guys, Alvin 1, Kendre Miller, and an insurance guy, a guy that's power and speed, right? And you want to do that because you want to make sure that whatever plays Kellen Moore runs, that we can utilize Alvin Kamara's speed that you want to back where you don't lose those plays because you don't have that style of back to go in there. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't restrict your offensive playbook because Alvin's not there. You got a similar back, even though he might not be as good as Alvin, but he got a similar skill set where you don't have to lose those plays. But if it's a running attack, then you can see Alvin because Kamara ain't just a guy that run on the outside. You've seen him running inside. Last year, you got it. Man, Alvin Kamara last year was running in between tackles. He wasn't getting no yardage because the garbage ass linemen wouldn't open up no. He'll run. Y'all remember it? Alvin Kamara hit the hole, boom, get 1 yard. Why? Linebacker was right there. Them guys wasn't moving nobody out the way. It wasn't he'll hit it. They'll tackle him. He'll pick up a yard or 2 yards, get up, drop the ball. You wouldn't complain about it, but they wasn't opening up those lanes. That'll be the focus. But that's what I'm saying. Kellen Moore's offense is not going to be effective unless the guys on the line open up lanes. If you're opening up lanes and creating space, Alvin Kamara will find that space. That's what he does well. He's a space back. He will find, if you create space, he will fill the space. Let me just put it to you like that, because that's what he does. You just need to create the space for him to fill. That's the bottom line. And if you provide an area of opportunity for somebody as good as Alvin Kamara, man, you ain't gonna have nothing but success. And you can spell them out with Kendre Miller and all these other guys. But the truth be told, Alvin is the guy. He's the fulcrum. Because you can't count on Kendre Miller because you don't know what Kendre Miller is going to be, right? Because he hadn't showed you that. Realistically, we've seen what he was in college and in bits and pieces, but he hadn't put it all together yet. So we don't know what he could be, right? Because we hadn't showed that. We've seen that with Alvin. We know the most sure thing you got is Alvin Kamara. You don't know what Devin Neal going to be, even though you've seen him in college. We don't know if it will translate successfully for him being that kind of back in the NFL. Let's just keep it real. We don't know. Cam Akers was a really good back that they picked up with the Rams, but he had that injury. He's not as fast and spry as he used to be. And we have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, another back, who's a back that you can use in different forms. He can be a running back there, as a space back. You can use him at wide receiver. He's just an incredibly versatile back. But what I'm saying is none of them other guys have the resume that Alvin Kamara has. He is the fulcrum of the offense. You can look at the quarterback, you talk about Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, Jawan Johnson, all this kind of stuff. But if the offensive line is blocking, they're going to be run-centric. That benefits Alvin Kamara, your number one running back and most proven commodity. So if you create space, Alvin will fill it and he will have a successful year. If the Saints line is very simple, like if you've seen stuff, it is, man, if the Saints line is blocking like we've seen the San Francisco 49ers line did when they had Christian McCaffrey running, why would I not think that that could happen for Alvin Kamara, even though he's every bit of that and probably a little bit better? You know, if he has that type, and if it's a run-centric system, why not Alvin Kamara get 1,200 yards rushing this year? We hadn't seen it before, but I'm saying he's your most steady, sturdy commodity to get you that, especially if they're blocking, which they will be blocking. They're not moving that ball if they're not blocking. Run blocking, that is. You get what I'm saying? Because they got the run to set up the pass. Your most surefire offensive weapon isn't the quarterback, isn't the wide receivers, even though they're really good, in Jawan Johnson is Alvin Kamara. We don't have to check Alvin Kamara's temperature. You got to check Jawan Johnson to see what he is, because it's almost like the guy's Ralph Tresvant over there, Johnny Gill, like an R&B guy, an R&B artist with a set of hit. That boy Johnny Gill over there. Boy, Johnny Gill as a tight end. You know, he got an R&B mentality. He got an R&B singer's mentality, man. You know, playing football. No. You don't. That never be the case with Alvin. You know what I'm saying? Alvin Kamara, you don't have to worry about this in here. Alvin, he gonna be ready to play. You gotta rely on somebody like that. You gotta rely on somebody. You don't got Chris Brown over there. Not even Chris Brown. It's somebody really R&B and smooth with it. You heard me? But yeah, I would, if they're blocking and they have to block, they're gonna have to block to set everything up. Man, come on. Ain't no way in the world that I don't think Alvin gonna be the guy. I mean, listen, he gonna have a fantabulous year. That's what I'm saying. All right. So yeah, it's gonna be Yarns. Yarns, I don't think Yarns is he practice squad, bro. Unless injuries happen. I like Yarns. You're talking about the undrafted free agent running back. I like his tape. I like Yarns, the running back, a lot. That running back room is loaded with really talented players. They're very loaded. We're gonna see how it goes. All right. So anyway, King Eternal says AK should get all the carries. We don't need the Jamal Williams effect. Oh, was that a hard? They're talking about, fam, that was a terrible signing. That was awful because he never was utilized in the way that he should have been utilized. And that was, to me, it's like, was Jamal Williams that bad, or the Saints was just that bad in their usage? Maybe a little bit of both, but I have to lean more to how the Saints use Jamal Williams. They were awful in this utilization. Because man had 17 rushing touchdowns and led the NFL over 1,000 yards. He come to New Orleans. I don't even think he got 500 yards in 4 years. It was a terrible signing by the Saints. They did not get nearly the value out of that Jamal Williams thing. That was awful. That was terrible. Yeah, he the anime guy. Yeah, remember that? When you said about you gotta get the fucking Pokemon cards and him on the body, man. You know what I'm saying? You gotta throw the Pokemon cards down, bro. Starting that playbook. You know what I'm saying? I know you like the Pokemon and all that kind of stuff, and you talk about his cats and his Pokemon. And he was a very animated dude, and I enjoyed listening to his interviews because he was so eccentric, right? He's kind of strange. He was a strange brother. Let's just keep it under the way funky. But I liked him. He had a good soul, man. We just didn't utilize the brother. We didn't utilize him to that. Yeah, he should have flipped one of them fucking Pokemon cards and leveled up like a Super Saiyan or something. That would have changed the game. All right. So yeah, we're gonna see what's going on, man. Yeah. All right. Yeah, but I like Yarns. I just don't think Yarns, unless injuries start really hitting the Saints running back room, they loaded with running backs. I just named all those guys. Yarns is on the back end of all those guys. All them other guys have experience playing in the NFL, except for Devin Neal, obviously. But he'll make it because he's a draft choice. So I don't think they're going to practice squad him. So we know off the bat that Devin Neal is going to be he's going to make the team. as a draft choice. He's gonna make the team. We know that. AK Kendra handle business. He's a good compliment. But like I said, man, Alvin Kamara is gonna be. He's gonna have a fantastic. He's gonna have a fantastic year for the black and gold. He sure will. What's up, Slim? Shout out to my brother Slim, man. Yeah, he good character. He's a great man. Jamal Williams is super cool, man. You know, he's a really great soul. Got a great soul, man. Great soul. You know, it just put them damn Pokemon cards on, play football. Brother English says Elvin is the guy that you can't stop if everyone else is doing their job. Exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say, bro. I'm gonna get that special effect for you with them hand claps, bro. Because you nailed that one, brother. You nailed that one right there. That's one thing. The linemen are doing their jobs, and if we a run-centric team, and Kellen Moore ain't hiding that. Kellen Moore's not hiding that. You've seen what he did with Philly. He's going to bring that same because that makes perfect sense because your signal callers are not experienced enough to be relied upon to win games. They're just not that. So who is? Who is your best weapon? Alvin Kamara. You got to be able to situate this line where they running. And if they running and they opening lanes, Alvin Kamara going to take care of business. You're going to have a phenomenal year for the Saints. Watch. If they do their jobs, like you said, shout out to you, we're going to be doing our thing as well. All right, indeed. Thank you, English. 504 Code says AK is the definition of a true professional. He's ready to roll. Indeed. All right. Thank you. OG says, TJ says, hi. Tell my dog I said what's happening, man. All right. So yeah, yeah, fam. So yeah, that's gonna be it, fam. Listen, I won't go too long. Understand we already been over an hour and 40 minutes. Hope y'all had some good spiel here. I might have let me throw a TSC Unleashed one at y'all right quick. Let me do this for y'all right. It's a TSC Unleashed bonus. There you go. Bam. Joy Taylor. Y'all remember y'all remember? Hold on, let me get my face up here. Let me get the eyes a bucking. Y'all remember what Joy Taylor, what she was cutting loose and doing and all that up there at Fox? All that kind of stuff. Well, guess what? They put her ass in the street. Joy Taylor got fired. And there was a lot of stuff circulating around what she was doing. Allegedly, according to one of the hairstylists that was working there, kind of dropped some game. Really was talking about some other stuff, but kind of threw Joy in the mix. Right. True Joy Taylor in the mix. And was just basically alleging that Joy Taylor was kind of slept her way up to get that. They said she slept with the producer. They fired his ass too, by the way. The producer, they fired his ass. Well, the executive, they fired his ass. The executive. She alleges that she slept with Ocho. By the way, they fired his ass too. It took them a while, but they discontinued their contracts, got them on up out of the way. Basically, Joy Taylor's story is, and listen, she talked about this before. She's very comfortable in her space. She's very comfortable in her space, and ain't no shame in her game, baby. Let me tell you, baby, ain't no shame in her game. But anyway, she gone. So they canceled the shows that they got going on there. So Joy Taylor in the street. And this is a lesson for people, you know what I'm saying? Let your talent speak for yourself. But so very often you'll see situations like the talent doesn't show because they got to do the extra stuff to get there because they don't have the talent to get there. So they got to sell their body one way or the other. But she had a plot alleged that if she couldn't use the producer or the executive who she was sleeping with, and she couldn't use him, and if it went south, she was going to burn that man by saying that he harassed her. That person put that out there. She denied that, by the way. Joy Taylor denied that. Wasn't the case. But the hairstylist threw her in the mix. So it's a cautionary tale of use your talent and not your other stuff. Let this be a cautionary tale to use your talent and don't sell yourself, man. Please don't do that. It ain't gonna help you, baby. It's only gonna hurt you in the long run. Don't do it to yourself, baby. Don't do it. But anyway, let me get into this article right here. Fox One is reportedly reshuffling its program deck and is getting rid of several network veterans shows with it. The network is canceling Breakfast Ball, The Facility, and Speak, according to Monday afternoon report from Andrew Marchand of The Athletic, Joy Taylor, the host of Speak, is reportedly out at the network upon the expiration of her contract. As Marchand noted, Taylor's public image has taken a serious hit amid allegations she helped foster a hostile working environment at Fox. The 30-year-old sister of Hall of Famer defensive end Jason Taylor, who worked at the network since 2016. Other notable figures involved in the shows Fox canceled include ex-Texas and Philadelphia Eagles linebacker Emmanuel Ocho, New York radio veteran Craig Carton, former Pro Bowl wide receiver Keyshawn Johnson, and Basketball Hall of Fame forward guard Paul Pierce. Speak had been on the air since 16, while Breakfast Ball and The Facility both premiered within the last calendar year. Now, see, a lot of times, and I talked about this, man, a lot of times, and a lot of these people now are going to go into the podcasting space. You see guys like Cameron, they did it. Carmelo Anthony did it. Paul Pierce got a show. He just interviewed your girl. What's her name? I forgot the lady name that says she a doctor, but people questioning that. And a bunch of shows. So they're going into the space and they're using their celebrity status to create a business outside. I often wondered why they didn't do it. I was like, man, where your business had at? You can't be an employee forever. At some point, you got to build your own shit. But, this is like one of those situations where, you look at them out to myself, like, man, because if you watch her rise, it kind of was littered in there. And this broad don't have no shame at all about it. Ladies, listen, my ladies know what time it is. They got jobs. They know people that are doing this stuff. They do it because they don't have no talent. They figure that's a skill that they use, but eventually that's not going to last because all you do is make the women look bad that don't do that. And you put bad name on women, you put bad name on people, period. So, let that be a lesson to our young ladies out there that don't do this kind of stuff. Don't sell yourself short listening to trash like Joy Taylor. Don't do that to yourself. And my beautiful ladies out there, the ladies, not the other people's. The ladies, because we don't all have ladies here. Let's keep it all the way funky. Not all of them ladies out here. But for the ladies that are ladies, y'all know who y'all are, please ride down and disparage this type of behavior among the community. Don't let this woman be a picture or a poster for women. You get what I'm saying? So when she open her stupid ass mouth, shut it for her and let her know the foolishness that y'all not gonna tolerate. We gotta at some point elevate the moral high ground here. We gotta leave with morals and scruples at some point, right? I think that's now the time. But anyway, that's enough on that. I'm good. I'm done on that. Yeah, look at Pammy. That's my girl Pammy in there. Preach, Q. That's right, baby. We talk. Yeah, that's right, KK, baby. That's right. She said, "Not yeah." Ladies, listen. Ladies, start talking. Ladies, listen. Y'all got to claim that public space back because you got people like this out here giving you a foul name, and you don't need that extra bad energy out there. So start tamping down on behavior like this, man. Don't let people like this make it no more. Don't do it to yourself, baby. Stop it, baby. Because they don't know what they're doing it because they don't have no talent. Anyway, listen, I'm going to get ready to get out on that. I hope y'all enjoyed the show tonight. Shout out to the fam. As y'all can see, I'm not in my studio. I'm on the move. But listen, man, I appreciate all y'all for being in the building tonight. Do your boy a service. If you enjoyed the show, hit the like button. Hit the like button. If you're not a sub up. Hit the sub button as well. And feel free to share. Remember, sharing is caring. Share the show's links on your social media feed. Don't matter where you go. Take the Sports Coma with you. As always, man, listen, I'd like to thank all of our YouTube membership family, our Patreon champion family as well for everything that's going on. And also family, like I said, we got a new sponsor. Y'all know about Mint Mobile. If y'all need cell phone service, link is in the description section. You get a discount. So with T. Chenley, been dealing with T. Chenley and Mint Mobile for a while. They really good show sponsors. Optery is the new one, as you can see right here. Optery is our new sponsor of the Coma. We continue to grow. We continue to go out there as well and just do positive stuff in our community. Another great thing to talk about is them. Optery is a service that provides virtual protection. Like if you guys know about bank people, the bank accounts getting hacked, all your public information out there. If you Google your name, all your addresses pop up, all that kind of stuff. You don't want all that out of there because there's so much craziness going on in the world and people defrauding and creating identities based on your information and all this madness. Optory takes care of that. If you check out Optory, they remove the home addresses from Google. They prevent the identity theft and the fraud. They reduce phishing and spam calls and emails. And also, they just overall, what they basically do is strengthen your digital privacy protections. You know, all the stuff. So you have a barrier of protection virtually online where people don't be seeing all your information, all this kind of old stuff. Optory helps with that, and they're cost effective. So if you guys are interested in that service, feel free to go to the links in the description section below and check them out, man. Optory could really be something that can really help out the fam, man. Listen, y'all know I always try to provide a service to the family that's a help. And, T-Chinley for your skin, y'all can see I've been using it, been really good. Mint Mobile, good for the cell phone service. But Optory is something that all that virtual stuff, y'all hear it all the time. How many times y'all hear about somebody, some bank got breached, all this craziness, man. This is an ally. This can really help. And besides, let me tell you another really good thing with Optory. When you get their service, they teach you how to, and it's a bunch of them, get off of those data broker lists. Because you guys, like, you get calls, the spam list, because you're on data brokers list. They sell your phone numbers, emails, and stuff like that. You can get off all of those broker lists through Optory. And they show you, not only do it for you, but they show you how to do it so you have it forever. It's a tremendous service. Y'all need to check it out. I got a good one for y'all. All right. So anyway, with that being said, man, listen, I'm going to get out. What's up, Professor? I see you. Shout out to the professor, man. I always appreciate y'all, man, for chiming in. I love y'all. I'm going to be back Tuesday for our Patreon special. I'm going to holler at the family on Wednesday, and we're going to do this thing again. We're going to talk some more black and gold. We back up in this thing. Much love to the fam. I salute y'all. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace. I'm out.
Yeah. Boogie like Vincent, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Vincent, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Alvin. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shade for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, money like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Say they gon' beat them, say who that? Who that? Who that say they gon' beat them, say who that? Who that? Who that say they gon' beat them, say who that?
TheWhoThatDaily.com. That's right, TheWhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, TheWhoThatDaily.com is your site. TheWhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who That in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. Remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop and Who That too. That's right, the Pro Shop.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. I first ditched big wireless and started using Mint Mobile way back in 2019. Back then, you could get premium wireless for only $15 a month. Today, Mint Mobile's premium wireless has gone up by, okay, wow, that's it, zero. It's gone up $0 a month since 2019. That doesn't seem fiscally responsible to me, but again, you're welcome. And I'm not an accountant. Hate math, always hated math. True story, I was in math 10A when I was in 12th grade.
Being amazing is uncomplicated with Tiege simplified skincare system. Here's how it works. Go to Tiege.com, pick your system, and get handsome. 3 simple steps. Wash, scrub, and moisturize. It's that simple.
Guys, go to Tiege.com and get started today.
To be a therapist, in my opinion, is one of the most humbling things ever.
A platform like BetterHelp is very important because it allows access to affordable mental health care.